AwardsWatch listeners and readers. This is episode, 167 of the AwardsWatch Podcast. I am your executive editor, Ryan McQuade. Joining me today is our editor-in-chief, Erik Anderson. Hi, Erik.
Good morning, everybody. Good evening, I mean.
It feels like we've been at it since the morning. And joining us today is a special guest. He is a contributor over at Awards Daily, and he's one of our favorite people on the planet. It's Mark Johnson.
Like top 100 or so, right?
I'll
take it.
You're definitely higher than Erik. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for sure. All the staff is out this week. We brought Mark in, and we're going to talk about these Oscar nominations that came out today. Nothing crazy happened today. It were simple nominations. We all got it 100% right. And no, of course, they were fucking madness today. Yeah. Everybody was losing their minds, depending on which category you were selecting. It looks, Everything Everywhere All at Once was the lead dog. They had 11 nominations this morning, followed by 9 apiece for both All Quiet on the Western Front, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis with 8 nominations, The Fabelmans with 7, and Top Gun Maverick and Tar round out the top half with 6. So it was a big day for those movies.
One of them deserved it.
Wait, deserved the 6 nominations, or all of those films deserve? Oh, okay. You're saying Tar. Okay.
No, I'm just teasing Top Gun once again.
Yeah,
because I'm pretending it's my brand, even though
it is technically your brand. You were like so reluctant to put that in your 10 for I want to say the full season up until the last.
Yeah, no, I did. I waited all the way to the end because I thought y'all were crazy.
Yeah, and
took me a while too.
We all were just holding our hands, and like Lady Gaga says, and just jumped right into the Best Picture nominees. Mark, I'm going to start with you since you're our guest here. Okay. Overall impressions of this morning's Oscar nominations early in the morning, presented by Riz Ahmed. And I
think the presentation was fine, and we were talking off air about how it's a missed opportunity to make it more of a prime time event, get everybody excited about these films and excited about the Oscars. But for those of us, I'm East Coast, so for me 8:30 is not so bad. I know Erik's out west, 5:30. You gotta love what we do to be doing it at those hours, I guess. Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall the narrative I think of the awards. It's kind of hit or miss. There's nothing that I think is overly egregious. Maybe save Decision to Leave missing international and Top Gun missing cinematography. There's narratives to be made throughout. I think the Viola Davis and Daniel Deadwyler missing an actress was disappointing, but you see a lot of diversity throughout a lot of these nominees. Brian Tyree Henry, I love to see him get nominated. Asian American or Asian representation very strong in the acting categories at least, and the film that led all nominees, you mentioned Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's pretty diverse and eccentric film, so I'm happy. The big surprise for me maybe was Triangle of Sadness. I had it in screenplay, but I did not see that. I didn't think it would get in director or picture.
Someone that did, at least and you switched at the last second, right, Erik? You switched to picture and director for Triangle of Sadness, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I had Triangle in. I had it just outside of screenplay, and then I had to pop it back in because it didn't make any sense to have it in just. Well, I had Talia Leone in. So that didn't really make sense. And it's just funny because I was on the Triangle train all fall, and Ruben Östlund too, then took him out just at the last minute.
God,
don't do that. You don't
put him at number 6 and had Edward Berger in because
that's what I had.
The momentum had looked like it had shifted, and it had in some ways, but not in others.
Well, let's talk about director quickly, because I think that Mark, speaking of narratives, mentioning that, I think that this is a good starting point for the way we could look at these nominations and maybe what they did provide us, what missed opportunities, obviously. Just right off the bat, obviously, 6 nominees, all male, so that will be the headlines. Obviously, only one of the 10 films that were nominated for Best Picture was directed by a woman. This coming off the heels of 3 women nominated in the last 2 years and 2 winners back to back. So, there was a giant seemed missed opportunity by many guilds and critics' choices and groups for most of the year to award female directors, and the Academy did not course correct that, it seems like, but they did go with the Daniels and Steven Spielberg and Todd Field and Martin McDonagh, and Ruben Östlund was our 5th selection. Very much the international brands once again coming in and saying, we live here and this is our time. And it was obviously sad to see my beloved Decision to Leave get blanked today. And then obviously to see Park Chan-wook not have that momentum after the BAFTA to just kind of squeak in at the last second.
He was a lot of people's number pick. 5.
Yeah. And then obviously Edward Berger, making essentially what feels like his first movie, because he's been making a bunch of TV movies in Germany for a long time. This was like his big sort of, coming out party, not necessarily a debut. And 9 nominations is nothing to get mad at, including a Best Picture nomination. But they clearly went with more of a familiar choice, right, with Ruben Östlund, and someone that they're probably more buddy with, and that's kind of what it's felt like with this category, especially with the foreign director or the international directors that have been nominated. But Mark, what did you think of this lineup? And obviously now, where do we go? Because some people think it's the Daniels, some people think it's Spielberg. Obviously McDonagh finally getting in. There's the Todd Field of it all, the only film to get director, picture, cinematography, and editing on the morning, in screenplay. That's a huge haul for Char, as well as with Cate Blanchett. So it's hit on all those fields. So, no pun intended there, all the fields. What do you think of the directing lineup?
Yeah, and I would say it's sad. It's too bad that there wasn't a space for the woman there. And I have to be careful how I approach this, because I am a white male, and I know my opinion on these things is I got to be cautious. I would say, my problem maybe with that complaint would be the last few years we've seen that the Academy is open to not just nominating women, but awarding women. And for each Sarah Polley or Charlotte Wells,
right? That's right. Yeah,
right. For every one of those, you have a James Cameron, a Kaczynski, Chazelle, Iñárritu. There were a lot, Del Toro. There's a lot of great directors this year, and a lot of them missed. So it's a shame, but I wouldn't say, I don't think we're going backwards or anything. I think majority of the contenders were male, so it's not overly surprising, in my opinion, that these 4 were taken, and 4 of them felt right. I think most of us were predicting Spielberg, the Daniels, Martin McDonagh, and Todd Field, right? So there was room for one spot, and I think it went to the wrong person personally, but you could make an argument for Sarah Polley just as much as you could Edward Berger or James Cameron or whoever. So that's my take on it, I guess, is I think the last couple of years hopefully shows that it is certainly possible. And, it's I think it's just a competitive year, I guess, is where I would land.
No, I agree, Mark. It's been a competitive year. Eric, the one thing that those 2 years in the past had, as opposed to this year, was Campion and Chloe Zhao. They were in Best Picture contenders, high contenders, or they were the winner. So, and there was a sort of unanimous decision very early on.
Oh, and Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. It was an across the board.
And she won a screenplay award too. So
that's the big difference between those years and
the
women directors this year. And it's a weird thing, but it is exactly what happened. The Woman King, I think a lot of people early thought was going to be a much bigger contender than it was. It ended up with nothing.
Yeah.
And then Women Talking, kind of the same way, and just ended up with the 2 that it got. But the weird thing about that is I mean, yes, I guess Ruben Östlund is a respected auteur and was able to get into picture and screenplay and director, and that's it. So there's no reason that Sarah Polley could not have done exactly the same thing. It's just visibility and campaign, and I'm sure we'll talk about campaign in a bit, but
we're going to talk about campaign a lot today.
In one category at least.
Yeah.
We're going to go wild in that one later.
And I mean, even though Women Talking started in Telluride, so it's been September to now, it didn't have quite the breadth that Triangle did, which is a Cannes start and EFA wins and the Cannes win and all of these things, but yeah,
I think also too what those other films over in the last couple of years, that's the last point to really make here, is the reintroduction of these blockbuster ginormous hits that can't be ignored. Cameron and doing with Avatar and Top Gun Maverick and Everything Everywhere All at Once's box office, and Elvis, and these big films that really made a lot of money and unfortunately, in other years, like especially Nomadland, a movie like Promising Young Woman and maybe even Nomadland to a certain degree, they rise to the cream of the crop because of not having so many selections, and so many movies are starting to get pushed back. Less so with probably Power of the Dog, because it was a cohesive number one film for Netflix, the biggest player in the business. But I think, United Artists' campaign for Women Talking, I think Sony a little bit weaker than some of the other bigger contenders. Obviously the detriment of United Artists also having Till in the lineup as well, and A24 having Everything Everywhere All at Once. They start having, at a certain point, you got to play your priorities, right? And unfortunately certain films fall off of that. I'm really sad that Sarah Polley didn't. I mean, she got the medallion a lot, at the medallion tribute at Telluride, just like Chloe Zhao, just like Jane Campion. But yet the passion was not there, and it's a real damn shame. But I agree with you, Mark. I don't think it's necessarily this giant step backwards. I think it's just some years are going to be like that, but it does always tend to seem like there'll be more years like this than years in the past, and that's just a damn shame when it comes to that. But anyway, I want to move over to the other categories here. I want to move into some of the below the line stuff real quick. There was obviously big days in there for All Quiet on the Western Front. We started to see things like, obviously best visual effects that went to All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Batman, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Top Gun Maverick. Nothing there, guys, in particular that you think should have got in or was surprising there in that category?
Black Panther getting in was a choice.
Over something like Nope, I would assume, right, Eric? Or Jurassic Park? Eric's favorite movie, Jurassic Park, this year. Didn't get in.
Better visual effects than Black Panther.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sound I think is interesting, because we can talk about sound here for a second and how it correlates also with our film editing. So we had All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Way of Water, The Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun Maverick. And if you go look over at film editing, which usually these two go hand in hand, it seems like, over the last couple of years, which the film editing category was Banshees of Inisherin and Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick. Mark, what do you think about that? I mean, right now it seems like, is that potentially where you could see a double win for Top Gun Maverick and maybe a sign of strength for that film? Or is good as something else? As
far as sound and editing?
Mm-hmm.
God, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is screaming editing. I don't know. We may just have an off year that way, that this way, where the sound. I think the stat you're talking about is the editing winner typically has a sound nomination, or vice versa.
Yeah, it's usually they go hand in hand. They don't necessarily have to win.
Okay.
But they usually have representation in both of those categories. usually the editing winner.
It's tough because the fact that Top Gun Maverick missed with cinematography, that makes me worry how strong it really is with some of the other techs. I don't know. I really don't know yet as far as what the front runner in each one would be. If I had to guess, I'd say between Avatar and Top Gun for sound, maybe All Quiet for sound. I could see any one of those. I could see any one of those winning.
It's a strong category. There really is a strong category for the sound.
I think it's an easy year for a split in that category.
Yeah.
And now that sound is one category, we'll probably see it a little more.
Yeah.
Because it would be easy to, have 10 spots and have a best picture nominee get sound mixing, but not, sound editing.
I miss those days. I'm gonna just be honest.
Too.
I miss editing and mixing in the sound categories
too.
and then being split up. The sound, this one category business has got to stop. Just cut it out. It's like nominating just screenplay. You know what I mean? Or just supporting actor or actress or supporting performance, I guess, and lead performance. But yeah, film editing. Nothing too surprising there, but it is really interesting what they did nominate, Erik, because you have like these unconventional films that are more building of tension and whatnot with like Tar and Banshees, and then you have the showy, flashy stuff with like Elvis and Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then you have the action spectacle. It's a really great lineup for there, but then looking over at like something like cinematography, how do you even great nominees across the board, but not a lot of our top tier contenders in that category. You know what I mean? So what did you start thinking about, Erik, when you started seeing a lot of these tech nominations across the morning in the first half of the telecast? Because I was thinking to myself, oh my God, there's a lot of Everything Everywhere All at Once surprises, but then there's some misses and All Quiet, all a bunch of stuff was going on.
Well, I mean, other than All Quiet getting name checked over and over and over again, and right off the bat because of the
alphabetical
place in the alphabet.
Yeah.
I liked that it felt like the branches were really voting individually.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some of those, Bardo and Tar and cinematography. We got some of those nominations that felt like they were the branch really focusing on its topic and less on the everything that was happening outside of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mandy Walker getting in for Elvis too. It's only the third time a woman has been nominated in that category. It's a huge, huge win.
I love that nomination.
Very good nomination indeed. Elvis, the movie that I've slowly but surely have come around on a little bit and like it. And I watched it recently on HBO Max. It's plays better than at home than it did in the theater, I will say. So
Mandy Walker, the Elvis nomination, she's the only one of the 5 nominees that hit with BAFTA, ASC, and BSC.
Mm-hmm.
And
the British
and the Australian Academy Awards too. She's everywhere.
Yeah.
So everywhere. It's a great nomination.
Yeah, definitely. It's too bad that Top Gun missed out here. That's the one that
shucks.
Oh yeah. Even on the tech side, Erik?
No, I'm just teasing it, but that miss in this after
shocking.
It was like a front runner is super shocking.
Yeah.
I had it as the safest nominee
for
cinematography. So
I think I did too.
Leaves the category a little very much wide open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so maybe it goes to Elvis, maybe it goes to Tar, maybe it goes to All Quiet.
It would be an interesting thing because, like you said, only 3 women have ever been nominated, and it's only been in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a first. It would be a really cool first. And there isn't, a Banshees there. There isn't a real Best Picture front runner there, so they have a little bit more freedom.
True. I will say though that obviously Tar is the only one that is in the director lineup as well too.
Yeah,
that made it.
That's the one.
Well, so
that's the one I put as the front runner right now. Or at least when I rearranged it, that's what I have in the 1 spot is Tar. I don't know though, because you got Deacons. I honestly, my vote of these would go to James Friend for All Quiet.
Yeah.
I love that movie, but the
so
cinematography, it's top notch. So I mean, it could really be in. I guess I haven't seen Bardo yet. I have to now. I said I'll watch it if it gets nominated.
Mark Johnson.
So here, I know. Listen, I missed Telluride, damn it. So I was behind all year, and
That's
Bardo
fair.
was one of those screeners that just sat there, and I'm like,
It's like a 2 hour,
3 hours.
2 hour and like 20, 30-minute movie. You're just
Yeah.
like, maybe. No, I get
And
it.
I love Inarritu. He's definitely a director that I like, but I've heard so much like up and down about it and it being super long. So I said, okay, if it gets nominated, I'll definitely prioritize it. So
it's only like 240 now.
It's only 240. Okay,
fine.
It's just a breezy afternoon. It's not like you got any.
Really gorgeous. It is such a beautiful.
That's what I hear. Yeah, that's what I hear. And
so, you got any football or anything to watch right now, Mark? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
not really.
Eric's like, not on my show. Football talk.
Hey, I know the Bengals quarterback.
I know 80 for Brady.
I know him.
I bet you know Joe Burrow.
I bet you do.
I'm a Joe Burrow stan. Give me some of that.
I never thought in my wildest dreams he would be saying Joe Burrow on a show. Look at you getting cultured. But anyway, let's move over to song and score. I think that these were some surprising categories this morning. There were some obviously there were some big surprises, like All Quiet on the Western Front and Everything Everywhere All at Once showing up in both categories. Eric, what did you think about these sort of surprises? And also a snub for Women Talking. This was
I mean, that was there were two big snubs from previous winners here, which I'm again looking at it totally just from the outside. I don't hate it because we get pretty safe with our predictions because we think, well, you're in the club, so you're going to get in, and it's going to be all previous winners and all that. And sometimes they do that, and sometimes they go a little bit outside, and they really did that with Everything Everywhere in both of those categories, which weren't heavily predicted in either place, especially score. So it's awesome. It's great. I don't have any complaints. I might be disappointed that Pinocchio and Women Talking didn't get in here, but not only do I like the scores of Everything Everywhere and All Quiet, it just represents a continued openness in branches that have often been very, very closed ranks. So I'm all for that.
Yeah. I'm just elated, especially in song, that if Chop Papa wasn't going to get nominated, which broke my heart, I could hear Eric crying across the coast.
How could you not? I mean, what kind of heartless fuck like hears that and watches it in the movie and is like, nah.
I blame Diane Warren.
Good.
I mean, I'm going to say
I blame Diane
Warren. Yeah.
Well,
bitch. You know what I mean? No, but like to counter that, it's like, well, David Byrne got Oscar nominated today, so I'm not going to say no to that. It's that whole that was a very much a long shot. I had thought about it for like months and months and months, and I had it at like my 5 or 4, and then I took it out because of just other factors. And I should have. It's once again, kids out there listening, if you're going to get in the awards predicting business, stick with your heart a little bit sometimes, and don't have any last minute changes. That's the worst thing that you could do for yourself.
I totally disagree. Panic and change everything at the 11th hour. That is
and then regret it 20 minutes after the nominations. Just like what Eric says, you know what I mean?
My panic choices worked out well for me. I'm all right.
Some of them worked out. I wouldn't say everything worked out for you, but I do know one place that it did work out for you. And that was in Best Actor.
Oh man. No, that wasn't a panic choice. I had him. You
were panicking up until the name.
Panicking and worried and terrified that 88 years was going to turn into 89 years.
Yeah, which we had history this morning. 88 years. We haven't had all new first-time nominees in this category, and it happened
Best Actor.
in Best Actor. Yes, this category, Best Actor. Calm down, Mom. It's okay. Austin Butler, Colin Farrell, Brendan Fraser, Paul Mescal, and Bill Nighy, or as Jennifer Coolidge calls him, Bill Nighy, and which is the best campaigning for that man, and that Sony Picture Classics couldn't even buy. Mark, this pretty much was a consensus for. But what do you think about? Well, actually, I don't even know what you think about After Sun and Mescal. But are you surprised, or are you happy that he got in here as much as Erik was?
Yeah, I went with Mescal in the fifth spot. I had Tom Cruise there almost all year. This was one of the few last minute switcheroos I made, and it worked out. I'm not a huge fan of After Sun. I thought he was really good, but I didn't connect at all with After Sun. And
Mark, it's been great having you on the show.
Listen,
Mark, you're supposed to like movies.
I know. Well, some I do. It's probably me, and I probably just need to revisit it. And it might be one of the ones that I rewatch here soon. But I remember him being great. I liked the editing of the film a lot. But so anyway, these five, I thought it was a fine five, and I was rooting for Cruise. I kind of tend to sometimes, if I'm between two like Mescal and Cruise, I tend to predict the one I'm not rooting for to kind of hedge my bet emotionally, right? That way, if Cruise gets in, I'm happy. If Mescal gets in, I was right. Right. So
for sure,
it's a win-win.
Yeah. I think it was a very good nomination. I know Erik was very happy. We were in our group text chat and everybody was going crazy for it. And it was, it eliminated a lot of things that Erik didn't want. One, it eliminated Tom Cruise. It eliminated Hugh Jackman from The Sun. But it also got Paul Mescal in there.
The stat. I love it.
Yeah.
Knock him down.
Who doesn't love a stat breaker? I mean, last year, like we said, it was all 5 previous nominees. This year it was all new nominees. It's great when you see stuff like that happen, particularly in this category. It is really interesting though, because last week Erik pretty much said that this category was locked up. We had with The Whale and Brendan Fraser, roll the tape. And didn't get nominated for Best Picture, did it, buddy?
I don't remember saying that. Maybe
we'll roll the tape. We'll figure. I'll find the clip.
You're saying it was a lock that Brendan Fraser was going to win Best Actor.
Yeah, because he was predicting that
was going to get in.
It was going to get in
the screenplay and then become the front runner there and all the things.
It felt like that. I mean, that's why I took Han Chow in supporting actress. Because if he's winning, I thought she had a good chance of getting in.
But honestly, now we're in a situation where, Elvis and Banshees are in. They showed very strong this morning. But also SAG could still go Fraser's way. BAFTA is a little bit up in the air as to where that's going to go. It could go to Colin Farrell.
I think Fraser would need both.
Yeah. He would need a big momentum, which is it's not out of the realm.
SAG and Farrell wins BAFTA, it's just going to be like Best Actress the other year.
Or it could be like, or Butler wins BAFTA because Elvis has shown strong support overseas too.
I think this category is all going to come down to what the Hollywood Critics Association awards it. So that's my prediction.
I have a feeling I know what's going to happen there. But
yeah,
it would actually be even better if Bill Nighy won BAFTA, and then we.
Oh yeah!
Oh my god!
And just kind of keep it like Best Actress that year, where it's just like, what's happening?
Erik,
it's just going to default.
But Erik, what if it's Paul?
Stop.
Is that your favorite of the 5?
Yeah, that's his favorite.
It's my favorite, like eternity.
Yeah, he loves. He loves the movie. I saw him weep like a child at Telluride when it was like, "Are you all right? Can we go to dinner? Are you okay? Like, do we need to wait? Everybody, let's carry him out of here. Let's go." Surprised nobody made that article. Man cries himself to death screening at Telluride. Before we get into the other lead actress category, the lead performance category for actress here, I want to get into the supporting categories. I want to talk about Best Supporting Actor real quick. Obviously, we had Brendan Gleeson and Barry Keoghan for The Banshees of Inisherin. Ki Kwan, obviously, for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But the big surprises this morning, like Mark mentioned earlier, Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway. Remember Causeway? Like a movie that we all had in like our 6th spot last week, Eric, for Brian Tyree Henry's performance.
He was my 6.
And instead of Paul Dano, they pulled a Belfast and went with Judd Hirsch, who had barely gotten anything, if not like, I don't think just Critics' Choice, right? He didn't get a single other thing. Mark, what did you think?
He benched hard.
Yeah.
Let's start with Brian Tyree Henry. That might be my favorite nomination of the day. I love Brian Tyree Henry. And I thought he was really good in the film. The film was okay. But I thought he was terrific. So seeing that he's an Academy Award nominee, I'm pretty thrilled by that. As far as Judd Hirsch, I think he was terrific. It was a very small role, but it's super impactful. He's incredible. And it really is kind of getting back to what a supporting role, should be, is not, you're in it throughout the whole damn movie. So I thought it was an interesting choice. I thought it was a fine choice. And the other 3, I'm just thrilled that all 3 made it, because those are probably my 3 favorites of the group.
Yeah, they're fantastic nominees. Eric, I was thinking about you with Judd Hirsch, because there is a big history stat, not because of an old person getting nominated. Well, no, he had a big, it was a big historic moment again for Judd Hirsch's nomination this morning too, wasn't it?
Yeah. He just stomped on Henry Fonda, just absolutely just
sorry, Jane,
created him right in the grave. And
well,
not really. All he really did was create a 42-year gap between his nominations, which puts him in record territory.
Yeah. Curious, about if this might be again yet another small trend that we might be finding. We have a Belfast, we have a Fableman sort of situation here where, Eric, I think the reason why somebody like Judd Hirsch might have prevailed in getting this nomination, which he's one of only 4 of the 20 nominees in this category that was a previous nominee. And it could have probably favored him a little bit in getting in there because he is a familiar face with the older members of the Academy. Don't agree?
I agree.
All right. Eric's agreeing with me. I made a good point. I'm going to keep it going. Go over to supporting actress, Angela Bassett, Hong Chow, Carrie Condon, Jamie Lee Curtis. She did get in after all, Eric. And Stephanie Hsu, who, I think the internet collectively was very for. I think of all the bad things that have happened today, everyone that went back to, it's okay, Stephanie Hsu got nominated. It's okay. Stephanie Hsu got
nominated. They just didn't want Curtis to get in and not Hsu, and that was correct.
Well,
although look at what we were just talking about, supporting actor, and Dano is basically on Hsu level screen time.
Screen time.
Hirsch and Curtis are almost identical. Hirsch had 8 minutes of screen time, and Curtis has 12.
Wow. It's kind of like the stat with Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs, how like he had such limited time, but he makes such an impression that he feels
impact means so much more than screen time.
It's a little bit also too like Mahershala. He's only in a third of Moonlight, but that impact is throughout the rest of the film. Yeah, it reverberates throughout the other 2 acts.
It does.
I think that they're great nominations. I think this is a great bunch. I know that everyone was last minute predicting maybe the possibility. We even gave some time to it too. The idea of Michelle Williams. We'll talk about her in a minute. Obviously Dolly De Leon was another big contender here. We had early contenders like Janelle Monáe, and obviously like the plethora of women you could have nominated for Women Talking as well, that never coalesced into one. And that's a real shame because like that is the ensemble, I think, of the year. And, and for it to not have one acting nomination is very sad. Not even like Ben Whishaw could get in.
I think it speaks though to how
strong,
how great those performances are that nobody could really gravitate to one. A couple weeks ago now, I tweeted something about what's your favorite performance in it, and I swear I had every actress was named, and very few. It was like all over the place. And I kind of did that to kind of get an idea of who are people leaning towards. So I agree with you. I think that's the best ensemble of the year, and I'm not surprised I didn't predict any of them to be nominated. And I did think Wishaw had the best shot because it's a much weaker field than supporting actress. So, but I think the 5 they got here are great, and I would love to have seen Hung Chau get nominated for The Menu instead of The Whale.
Correct.
I like her more in that, but I again that prediction was based on, at the time, thinking Frasier was the front runner and that it was going to get in for picture. So yeah, and I wasn't betting too highly on Triangle of Sadness, so I didn't have Dolly De Leon.
Yeah. No, but tortillas deliciosas. Yeah, from The Menu. Oh God, what a performance. Yeah, no, she had a fantastic year, but I think it's time. I think we got to move over there. I think we got to talk about it. Best Actress. The thing that brought so much chaos, usually always does. Best Actress, Cate Blanchett for Tar, Ana de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, Michelle Williams for The Fablemans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Before I get Erik's rant, because I know it's coming, I mean, if you did 30 minutes just for the nomination preview, I gotta wait to see how long you're gonna go.
I haven't even had one glass of wine. It's not gonna be.
Start the timers, kids, when he gets there. But Mark, I'm curious what you think of this, because I think that this is where we're going to probably have a lot of conversation left of the show to sort of tackle the various angles that you can find within this, the various topics that have already been discussed. I mean, there's, obviously the shock of the nomination within itself, the snubs, what this means, in terms of what the Academy is saying here, the type of campaigning that's being run, actress of color, specifically, what, the impact of this has for Black performances in a lead performance here in this category. Not to mention also too, we're still in a dead heated race between Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett. I think kind of people forgot about that this morning. It's like, shoot, like even had crazy people this morning started to say, well, what if if she got the nomination? No. And so I think we could start there. It's like, this was clearly a nomination as the win situation. But Mark, what did you think of this Best Actress 5 and the announcement of, obviously, Andrea Riseborough?
For me, as long as Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett were in there, the rest, again, it could have gone a lot of different ways. I only got 3 out of these 5. I had both Michelle Deadwyler and Viola Davis. I wasn't about to bet on Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie. I just didn't believe. It was one of those things I had to see to believe. Kind of similar, but not even nearly as close a situation as Penelope Cruz last year. Like a lot of buzz was building for her for actress, and I didn't see it. And I had, it was one of those things I'm just not going to predict. The others though, I didn't pick Michelle Williams here. I had her out at the last second, but I loved her in it. I don't know if she's more supporting her lead. It's kind of been something I've been not sure about all year, which way she should have gone or which way she really is. But I'm happy. I'm a big fan of hers, and I wasn't a huge fan of The Fablemans. I respect it, but she was my favorite part of it. So I was kind of happy to see her get in, and hated Blonde, but thought Darmus was fine. So it's a shame of how I think it looks. But I think, again, it's kind of like one of those things where I wouldn't overthink and create a narrative here when you have such diversity in the other acting categories, right? You can't say, I don't think you can say they hate Viola or they hate Black women when I just told you how excited I was about Brian Tyree Henry showing up, right? He was kind of not really expected to be, I think, one of the 5. He was on that 6, 7, 8 range, I think. So, and then a lot of Asian representation, and I don't know. Again, these topics are always hard for me to breach because I am a white male. But
your opinion matters the most here,
right?
Yeah, we only brought you on here for this opinion,
right? But again, I think it just comes down to they liked either these movies or these performances more, right? I mean, Till and The Woman King didn't have a single nomination between them. So they obviously just didn't like those movies that much, right? I guess that's where I would leave it.
That is one way to go with it. And that is and I love you, Mark. That is that's one way to go with it. True. The other thing is
one
that
perspective.
The other thing is this campaign, the targeted campaign of To Leslie, that wasn't a full year campaign like most traditional. It was a 5-day barrage that felt like that it was strategically targeted with screenings and obviously social media, with copy and pasting like nobody's business, And so, Erik, I'm curious. We talked a lot about it last week, and we kind of joked about it, but now it is a reality. So we live in that crazy timeline. So I'm just curious about what you feel about this, because you've covered it since, not for 95 years now. You've covered the Oscars. And so,
hey, stop for a minute. So just Erik, just so you know, this is what I had to deal with all the time, every week at Awards Circuit. I was the older guy.
Yeah.
So it's nice sitting here and being in the middle.
It's nice being the young man for a change.
For sure.
Yeah,
but I feel for you.
But anyway, this is every week.
I can empathize.
No, but honestly, Erik, what do you think about this? Because I'm not, saying we could overblow this, but I don't think we can undersell what happened here with this campaign either.
Yeah, but I do want to go a little bit back to what Mark was saying about Davis and Deadweiler and the strength of their movies, because I think what happens is, and this also goes back to talking about Women Talking and how that film did, and that is that women and people of color in their films have to do so much better than average to be on the same level. And that's where you get into the true inequality, is the having to overachieve to just hit like a passing mark.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody like Davis should be able to get in as a single nominee of her movie the way that Meryl Streep has 20 times.
I agree.
And then that's just my commentary on that is that is where I feel that those kinds of arguments and anger about it are valid, because we have enough examples to counter it on the other side to go, well, you only have to be mediocre and we will let you in. So it happens all the time.
Yeah.
The thing with Riseborough, yes, is weird and crazy and very unique, and people I just keep seeing make all kinds of very strange comparisons that are not really valid. This is not Melissa Leo. This is not Sally Kirkland, who spent their own money, and that was a real grassroots campaign that they did themselves. And this was all happening around Riseborough. She didn't do anything. She just sat there and watched it happen, and it was kind of amazing. And I bless her heart for that. She didn't have to campaign really at all. She just had to kind of let everybody do that around her. But again, it's still connected with the fact that this group of dozens of high-profile actors chose to elevate this teeny tiny movie and performance, which there's not anything wrong with. But it just felt like a weird, I don't know, circling the wagons. It just felt so very strange.
Yeah,
it did, because it wasn't organic. This was created by Mary McCormick, and there's a lot of also connections within the same publicity firms, and it just turned into this thing that I think got much, much, much bigger than any of them expected. I don't think that a lot of actors think that, because they are out there in support of something, that it's really going to have a huge impact. but it all happened so quickly.
Yeah.
It was like the avalanche in force majeure. It's like once it's here, that's it. It's
grab
gone.
your cell phone and run.
Grab the phone and run because it's here.
Yeah.
And it was too late at that point. It was already there. What it means for future is obviously we don't know.
Be determined.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Now we're going to be looking for it, and that's the kind of lame thing, is that we're going to try and find what teeny tiny
little film,
nothing presence is going to get picked up by Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing about it is for me, and I've been thinking about this, and I've gone through the emotions today myself, because I kind of feel as if this is misusing or abusing or cheating the system in a way because there is there are unwritten rules about sort of how you're supposed to campaign to get an Oscar nomination and sort of things. And it feels as if they said, screw those rules. We're just going to go for the 5 days that matters the most, which is actually really smart. I mean, like, to be honest with you, it's just like, you know what? Screw it. Only 5 days really matter in this whole thing.
I don't begrudge that at all. Not a bit.
I think
I'm sure every publicist is
like,
just like,
why didn't I do that?
Damn it. Why do I have a job?
Yeah. Like, I think everyone that has like an actress today that's like in a movie that only grossed like, half of the screenings down the street from my local theater of Avatar this week, which is basically what To Leslie made, because it made $27,000 at the box office. That's where it starts getting a little like crazy about it, because it's like, people do not understand what a grassroots campaign is anymore. I think that they need to go back to vocabulary school. I would say something like Paul Mescal is a grassroots campaign, because of the fact that, he sort of trekked along throughout the season, got a lot of critics' love, landed that BAFTA nomination. We were kind of sitting here on the fringe wondering if he could outduel Tom Cruise and Hugh Jackman to get that nomination. And he did. And it felt great, because we had seen precursors and we had seen him in the race, and we had sort of felt that passion behind the film. And it felt organic in that sense of like it had been building to that point. And for To Leslie and Andrea Riseborough, it felt as if this nomination, it felt like an internet thing, because obviously there were the reports of the fact that like the screeners for the Indie Spirits came out, and that's the only place she was nominated at. So that's where it kind of felt like they all came from. Then there's the copy and pasting of the same generic thing over and over and over and over again by actors.
It was like cult-like behavior.
Yeah, it was very like
Facebook MAGA behavior.
It's very like, where's Shelley Miscavige sort of kind of behavior. You know what I mean? And then you had Demi Moore doing a Q&A the night of Critics' Choice for the film. You had Kate Winslet and Amy Adams do Q&As, virtual Q&As with the director and Andrea Riseborough for the film. And it just sort of like, I don't know if it's real or not, but it's definitely, like Eric, we were saying last week, it's definitely not in the top 10. She was definitely not in the top, like she wasn't 11 through 15. She was like,
I put her at 10 just to not look like,
just to be safe. Yeah, exactly.
the thing, I don't think we can have like very traditional grassroots campaigns in the social media age.
Yeah.
It's very different. If everybody knows it, it's not really a grassroots campaign anymore. It's populist, but it only has to be populist within the group that's voting. Mm-hmm. The reason why we see it as grassroots or as something else is because we're not a part of it. SAG wasn't a part of it. BAFTA wasn't. They were not a part of it. Only the Oscars were. Only actors were. Mm-hmm. And I do think that maybe that there will be in the future some more targeted campaigning, and maybe the perception of less of a reliance on building precursors and just banging it right out at the end. That's going to be crazy if they try and do that, because you can't do that with more than one thing. The only reason that it worked is because it was one thing. If everyone tries to do that next year, good luck.
Be a Moneyball situation, maybe too. To be honest, is this sort of like a one-off scenario that happens once in a blue moon? Because it almost feels like, honestly, if she would have landed some sort of precursor like a Globes or a SAG, she would have felt very like Damien Bashir-esque or very Richard Jenkins-esque, of like this veteran actress that gets the love finally that they deserve from the Academy. That's where like it makes sense on paper, but it doesn't in the way in which I guess it all played out, because that's not what the season was playing out. It was playing out something like Viola Davis that made all the precursors, like you're mentioning, Eric, or Daniel Detweiler, who made pretty much all the precursors, or even Margot Robbie, who was in a borderline Best Picture nominee, or Olivia, or there's all these other people that got various nominees or nominations. And yet Andrea Riseborough rose to the top because Goop. You know what I mean? Like
it's still fascinating, and I still love it. And I could never be mad at this. I think it's absolutely fascinating.
Wild. It's wild.
It is.
It's give us stuff to talk about forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think it is one of those anomalies, maybe more than anything, because like you said, how it's like a perfect storm had to occur for them to rally around this one person instead of, in the future, how that would look. So I'm curious. Again, I did not predict her, and I'm now not predicting this to happen again. So, I'm probably going to be wrong again when it happens.
Watch her win now.
But and I wouldn't say I guess it could happen again. God, I don't know. It just seems like it's one of the oddest things I think that's happened, at least in the, 14 years I've been covering Oscars online. I don't think I can remember any nomination like this. So
yeah, I'll be very curious to see if all those same people go back and do the same campaign for her during winter voting.
Yeah, right.
Let's see where they are during then.
Yeah, let's see them go for her over
if Kate Winslet
Blanchett
said that it's the best performance she's ever seen in her life, she better do a goddamn Q&A for it.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm curious about too is with Kate Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh potentially splitting a lot of votes, does that leave room?
Mark,
does that leave room for her to come in with? Yeah, I know.
But Mark, also too, if there's someone then that's going to sneak in there from a third spot, convention says that it's more Michelle Williams because she's in a Best Picture film rather than a lone nominee from a movie that barely made enough, coins to go to like senior day or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like it barely. I don't know. It barely made enough money to scratch the itch. You know what I mean?
The fact that she got in, though, I'm putting her third. I think the fact that she's even in there had to be some serious.
I'm putting her in 6, even though there's only 5 nominees.
I got 3 for now. Because I don't think Anna de Armas or Michelle Williams are going to win any precursors leading up to it either. So
no,
the backing had to be strong.
She's probably she could even win the Spirit Award now because of
right.
Yeah.
Right. She probably will.
Well, I mean, it'd be very tough
against
Kate and Michelle Yeoh.
Oh, never mind that. Never mind.
Yes. But at least we have
crazy.
We have a one scenario where she's in competition with other people.
Yeah, but it's like I told Eric, I just don't believe. I don't believe that even as crazy as the internet is, when it comes down to it, at basically what essentially the Indie Spirits are, which is the Film Twitter Awards, that they would not give Michelle Yeoh or Kate Blanchett the damn award, because those are the two most talked about, even more than To Leslie. Those are the two most talked about performances probably of the year. Period.
Sure, unless you get a swath of people that are like, well, Yeoh and Blanchett are going to get plenty of votes, so I will just go ahead and vote for Riseborough. That's how those kind of things happen.
Exactly. And
that's how you get Daniel Day-Lewis and Jack Nicholson losing and Adrian Brody winning. Yeah. And this is what I think Mark, what people mean when they say vote splitting.
Yeah, right.
Because since the focus is only on, say, two people and a third person gets in, it's really because they're are outside too far rather than being considered as a valid enough contender. That person didn't split votes. They just got more than the other two because the focus was on those two.
Yeah. Generally speaking. But obviously, it's still Michelle Yeoh and Kate Blanchett for the win, obviously.
You would think, but weird things happen.
I'm not going to say, I guarantee you can put my entire reputation on the line that no way To Leslie beats Michelle Yeoh and Kate Blanchett.
What's that worth? Your whole entire reputation. Come on.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I do work for you. I work for you. Yeah, that's fair.
Exactly.
But no, I can't see it happening. Not those two performances, because if one falters, the other one's going to pick it up because that's how good those performances are. That's how far away those two are from the pack. And it would take, yes, Kate Winslet and Edward Norton selling, Jared Leto kombucha at a screening in order to get people to vote for To Leslie. And that's the thing, is that when you come down to it, for a nomination, sure. For a win, that's a different story. That is a vastly different story. But I do just want to say one thing real quick, and then we'll move on. Is the fact of the matter is exactly what Eric was saying earlier, and I do wholeheartedly agree with this. Is that we just live, I think, a little bit in a world where everyone is so frustrated. And I've heard a lot of voices today about this, particularly I was doing Twitter spaces this morning from a lot of either Black journalists or film fans that are African American, and it feels as if they are doing the type of roles, the type of performances that would get nominated in this category. You're talking about big action spectacle, producing your own project sort of thing, like a Viola Davis, a transformative performance for her, very physical and whatnot. And then you have Daniel Detweiler transforming in a biopic this all-time performance and whatnot. And I think the thing is that to see the mostly white actors that came out and supported this and pushed it, how many times would they do it the other way around? How many times would they go out and have those kind of screenings and those kind of social media campaigns and everything for a Daniel Detweiler, for a Viola Davis, for a Naomi Ackie, or whoever in between? And I think that that's where some of it feels very icky from that standpoint, is that this nomination for a movie that, Mark, I saw back at South by Southwest and forgot about it 5 minutes after I saw it, got an Oscar nomination over The Woman King, which made a ton of money, and Till, which is celebrated as one of the best performances of the year. And
you just wait. To Leslie, Too Furious is coming out next year.
No.
Her and Danielle Detweiler in the film.
Coming.
There you go. New buddy comedy right there. No, I think that that's where a lot of the frustrations lie. And it also was something that you and I, Eric, talked about that didn't happen, which was this was going to be the first year potentially that this Best Actress lineup was going to be primarily people of color. And To Leslie, for, lack of a better option of picking which one, was probably also the one that was in the way, ruined that other chance at history. And because obviously I thought Michelle Williams was still very much on the verge, and Ana de Armas being of Cuban descent, Latino descent, and then obviously Michelle Yeoh, Asian descent. That's it's 2 out of the 5. And it feels a little bit of goalposts being moved.
It does, but also Riseborough is one person and Detweiler and Davis are 2. She didn't knock 2 people out.
So are you saying kind of the siphoning votes thing that you just were talking about, for, that maybe some people were oh, I think Viola's in, so then I'll vote for her, or
I think possibly because that was Frances Fisher's whole thing was, Danielle and Viola.
It was in the messages, wasn't it?
Locked. It was right in her message.
They're
locked. Vote for Andrea instead.
which is a bit disingenuous. Then also too,
it's a little shady,
vicious.
That's I didn't know that. That's bad.
It's a little first boat off of the Titanic.
Yeah, it's very, very unprofessional and unethical. But it's also Hollywood. It's Hollywood.
I'm not gonna, I can drag her and tease her, but I'm not gonna. No, it's whatever.
Can't wait for you to get a Christmas card next year from Francis Fisher. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna have a bomb in it.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna have the head from The Godfather in it. The horse's head. All right, real quickly, screenplays. Just real quick, nothing really surprising. I think an original screenplay for all of us, other than Ruben Östlund.
No, that was an easy
Charlotte
5.
That was.
No, I changed at the last minute. It was still an easy 5.
Very easy 5. Adapted screenplay that was announced, I believe, in the first half, right? If I'm not mistaken. And so we got our first glimpse of the whale missing out, and Top Gun Maverick getting in, and Women Talking getting in, All Quiet on the Western Front living, and Glass Onion pulling a Knives Out and just getting
literal Knives Out too.
Yeah, exactly. So not surprised either. I mean, there were potentials all around here for some interesting.
No, I was absolutely surprised the whale missed. That's
that's right. It was another one of those
because my allegiance shifted that the whale would be the front runner in there before today, obviously.
Yeah. Well, that didn't happen, did it?
Flop season. Here I go.
Very much so. Let's go over to picture real quick. Obviously, it came down to the 8 that we sort of mentioned. And then those last 2 were Triangle of Sadness and Women Talking. And talk about suspense, right? Right into that last nomination, trying to figure out, well, it's alphabetical. There's only one spot left. It's either the whale or Women Talking, and they went with Women Talking. Mark,
I'm sure there's a lot of relief with that because I know a lot of people that hate the whale. So Women Talking getting in was a wonderful thing for many people.
Yeah, not the biggest fan of the whale over Women Talking. Yes, I would take Women Talking in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, Mark, I think this lineup for Best Picture might be one of our best that we've had in quite some time.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. I think this is just a very good year, and it's it's kind of loaded with. I'm not a huge. I wouldn't maybe say that for the performances as much as I would the films. I think the films it's a really good year, and I love. I'll say this: I love 8 of these movies. I like 1, and 1 I don't like at all. So that's pretty good.
Which one is that, Mark?
I think it'll upset you guys.
Just say it. Which one don't you like?
I did not like Triangle of Sadness.
That's fine. That's fair. Okay. That's my 10 in the lineup too. So
yeah, I didn't like it at all. And I thought Elvis.
Mark Johnson holding the line for rich people. Wow. Oh my God.
And Elvis is the one that I'm like kind of lukewarm on. I love Austin Butler in it, but the film itself, but the other 8, I love all 8. So,
what's your favorite of the bunch, just personally, Mark?
Everything Everywhere is my number 1 of the year.
Okay,
so that's All Quiet's not far behind, and neither is Avatar. I'm a big fan of Avatar. I can't help it. And
big Jim. All right.
Yeah. But I love all these movies. It's all of them good choices, and there's some good ones that miss too, and that's just how it's going to go.
Eric, we have our Best Picture 10 here.
Yep.
Nothing too surprising based off the nominations. It feels as if obviously Everything Everywhere All at Once is sitting at the pole position, to use another sports term. Since you're a big sports guy.
I know what that means.
I know you know what that means. So I'm curious. Right now, it is the front runner. Do you think that it can maintain it all the way through, or do you think potentially?
Yes. No.
You don't think we could have a repeat?
No, I think it can. I think Everything Everywhere can go all the way.
Okay.
Across the board, SAG, DGA, PGA.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But you don't see at all any weakness in that?
I don't really see weakness, no, because the 11 nominations that it got gave us some strange places that it missed, and then some stranger places that it got in. So it's not hurting for support at all. And I really kind of rebuke a lot of what I've seen from some pundits that say things like voters don't really like this.
They won't understand it.
They don't get it, and they haven't even finished it. I'm like, cool story.
I love your accent word. That's great.
Cool story.
I mean, Eric
Michelle
and I
Williamson supporting. Good. All right, sure.
Eric and I are old, and we love Everything Everywhere All at Once, right?
I love it. I think it's amazing.
You're very young compared to him, Mark.
It is a very good lineup too. It's a very good
also lineup. Mark, in your Twitter name, it's Mark likes movies. It's not.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Right. So you kind of have to like it. You know what I mean? Like the Peter Travers of award season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably.
That is a horrible thing to say.
But he likes everything.
Me?
No, Peter Travers.
No, he does. Peter Travers.
I know, Mark. I know you. I know. I know what a Mark Johnson movie is and what not a Mark Johnson movie is.
Here's 8 of them.
Right? Here's 8 of them to present to you. But like, no,
I like that it was interesting that they went 8 for 10 at PGA, which is pretty par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2 that they did not nominate were the other 2 sequels.
Yeah.
Because PGA nominated 4 sequels.
And that's nuts.
And the Oscars were they were never going to do that.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
It was also their screenplay nominees as well. It was also the fact that, Oslin was the director pick, so that made sense, as well as also SAG helping out Women Talking getting over the top because it was nominated at SAG a couple of weeks ago as well. I think that that's fair, but also at the same token, though, it may not have been able to parse it out for individual nominations, but when it came to just the overall film, SAG Ensemble, I think, really did help it out. And we were thinking it could go to Babylon because of its Babylon supporting text and things of that nature. And some were even thinking that, potentially Babylon could be like a Nightmare Alley sort of situation. Clearly, they just have said, no, thank you, Damien Chazelle, since La La Land, and really those films have underperformed the last 2 go-rounds. I mean, First Man didn't particularly, land every single place, and this film Babylon only got 3 nominations. I know Mark is a big Damien Chazelle fan. Did you like Babylon too, Mark? Was it?
I liked Babylon, yes.
Okay, not Love though. It's not First Man.
It's not Mark loves movies. It's Mark likes.
Right. No, it'd be in my top 20, but not in my top 10.
That's fair. But yeah, no, I thought these were good. I have Everything Everywhere All at Once in my top spot.
Yeah,
but I'm not confident.
I'll have first winner predictions this Friday.
There you go. Exclusive
Runner Friday.
But
every week for the next month.
I don't think that it is locked in just yet. I think that there's still plenty of race. And, last year we had a film that overperformed and surprised in a lot of places, was not a conventional pick by any stretch of the imagination. Something that, are the Academy really going to go for that too? There were those rumblings as well. Carried, and then this little movie called Coda came, just kind of off of that and came in and won. And, I'm not counting out Banshees. It had a really great morning. You can't underestimate that film as well. But I think that as of right now, it's clear number 1, but it's really hard to carry an entire campaign all the way through an entire year from one to the other. And I don't think that it has the underdog story anymore. I think that it does. It doesn't. It's really? You can't be an underdog and also be the most nominated film of the morning. Like that
you can. Happen. Yes, you can. It did exactly that today, because there are still people that are publishing articles like, whoa, wait a minute. Can it actually go all the way?
Yeah.
What do you think?
You just don't need it to, because otherwise you'd have nothing to write about for the next month and a half.
Yeah, you have to though, Eric.
What do you think though, if it isn't Everything Everywhere All at Once, what do you think is the film that could best upset it.
It's Banshees of Inisherin, I think.
That's what I would say too.
I mean, yeah, I think they are probably 1 and 2, but we are now in a completely different phase of the campaign, and it's the reason why Coda won. It was able to utilize this second phase better than like anybody has.
And that's what I'm saying.
Poor Apple going from Best Picture to absolute flop of the season this year. And then the next season they're gonna have, Napoleon and Killers of the Flower Moon.
Is that confirmed?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Ish.
Just
what's funny? What's funny is I have Banshees in the number 2 spot right now, but I have it winning no Oscars.
I mean, I think it's winning original screenplay at this point. I think it's still the front runner for original screenplay.
And
it's very much in the, it's very much in the field as well. Also, too, for actor. You know what I mean?
It's like number 2 or 3 on like a lot of places, but I don't have it winning any.
And
it could absolutely only win screenplay, and that will be what it gets, and Everything Everywhere can still win picture director, editing,
supporting actor,
and maybe actress. It can still all that can happen.
Well,
lots can happen right now.
But then we also have that weird scenario happening in supporting actress where the winner there is the only winner from her film and has been for 8 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's Bassett or Condon, who are the top 2 anyway.
And I think that Ke Kwan's winning supporting actor. I have Cate Blanchett winning actress at the current moment. And I'm still sticking with this, and maybe this will just be my thing because I know a lot of things have been breaking, but in the modern era, we haven't seen a film win Best Picture and 2 acting Oscars as well. It has not happened. It rarely happens. Sometimes even if it wins 1, let alone winning 2, and it hasn't happened since $1 Million Baby. So,
and are we really thinking A24 is going to win like what
3 out of the 4?
4?
Yeah,
Come on.
So.
Speaking of, I didn't really focus on this morning. There are 10 Best Picture nominees, and no studio got more than 1.
Yeah, I was going to mention that earlier.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. Neat. Well, I mean, does Disney?
No, I know. Yes, Disney and Universal Focus and Searchlight, and they're all a part of.
But their own individual brands.
All, but if you're looking at it just as the individual studios,
and once
it's
again,
pretty impressive because we could have had a lot of doubles.
We could have also not had any.
Obviously, almost got 2. Paramount was probably close to 2.
We were thinking about, was Netflix even going to be able to carry 1, and it got 1 in.
Well, it got pretty clear that it was going to be all quiet right at the very end. And again, talk about campaigns and non-campaigns.
Yeah,
I mean, we could spend a whole lot of time on that of where a studio thinks that their priorities lie. And then no matter how much work they put into that and how much they tell you that it's this and this and this, voters are going to tell you what they want to tell you. And that became very clear very quickly the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. I mean, Netflix was the perfect example. We were sitting out on this show multiple times going, what the hell are they going to do? And it just kind of happened on its own. You know what I mean? And we thought,
is an organic campaign.
Yeah, that's very much so because they were pushing Bardo, and they were pushing Glass Onion, and then last seconds, push for Pinocchio and all those different categories to only land its only 1 nomination in animated feature. And so clearly with the BAFTA, 14 nominations there, 9 nominations there, 25 between the 2. That's huge for a movie that, like, I remember seeing it and I think it's fantastic. It's wonderful. But I was like, why aren't they pushing it? It kind of makes sense also as just like a template sort of thing too. Like, it's the war movie of the year. Like, that's Oscar, bait if I've ever seen it, but it's also like a really moving film too. It's also weird too that we have the anti-war film and Top Gun in here as well.
Right.
I saw
companion pieces.
Yeah, very much a double feature if I've ever seen one. But the movie that's clearly like patriotism. No, I thought that was great. And like Mark said earlier, broke my heart. No decision to leave an international feature, but EO getting in there and what was it? The
Quiet Girl.
Quiet Girl. That was the sneaky one again. The last couple of weeks that was starting to happen. Irish people kind of took over the Oscars.
Yeah, we feckin' did, didn't we?
I'm like, what is going on here?
Yes, maybe that's maybe that's a good sign then for Banshees. Who knows?
That's a good point. Maybe.
Yeah.
Are we going to get the Irish contingent of the Academy is going to make the decisions like we always used to say the British contingent was like shifting the vote?
Well, I'm just saying, I think that between Everything Everywhere All at Once and the Banshees of Inisherin right now, they're rowing a little bit. You know what I mean? In multiple categories. So a little bit of rowing. You know,
there's a lot of war going on in the Best Picture nominees.
Yeah, there really is. There really is. And last thing real quick is I just want to gloat about it a little bit. I'm so happy that Tar got 6 nominations. The little movie. My favorite
I'm
movie
glad
of the
I
year.
had it at 4, so I'm so happy for the editing and the cinematography.
How did you guys do on predictions? Did you count them up?
I think I got
the show is done.
I think I got
did well, right?
No, I forgot to count. I think
I did.
Yeah,
I haven't counted mine because I have to take out the shorts because I the shorts. Who gives a shit?
You count the shorts.
I don't count the shorts.
You have to count the shorts.
You have to.
I never took them seriously.
I watched 45 short films in the last week.
Yeah,
you count the fucking shorts.
Yeah,
all right. Then it was like 72%. It was like 73% with the shorts, but I didn't pay attention. I didn't care because I don't watch them until afterwards. So
honestly, though, Ryan, even when you watch them, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, I was assuming so. I just went with like the top, like betting lines on Gold Derby, and I usually just go with that, and I'm always wrong. And what? We didn't even talk about them last week on the show. So
I just did my predictions, but we didn't talk about them.
What did you? What do you got? The Dicks winning? The one with Dicks?
my year
with Dicks.
No, but it's going to be my number one to watch. So
dude, I was going to tell you that animated short film there are a couple really good ones, but an ostrich told the long titled one. An ostrich, I loved that one. An
ostrich told me the world is fake, and I think I believe it.
I loved it.
I mean, like literally after Riz Ahmed said, "My year of dicks," otherwise known as an ostrich told me the world is fake, and I think I believe it. Man, I can't wait.
Speaking of, because obviously that was a great moment in the announcement, I just want to say how fucking happy I am that we are back to those types of announcements with an audience, because listening to people respond to the nominations, I don't care if it sounds like favoritism, was really awesome, because you get those big responses for Paul Mescal and big responses for Rise Bro and the funny giggling for Year of Dicks and Allison no comment after that. You don't get that from these cold, empty, audience-free announcements.
Yeah.
Give me a goddamn audience.
Yeah. Dick poop. He wants dick poop. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
I want the Year of Dick Poops.
The Year of Dick Poops. My year with Dick poop. But no, I agree. I mean, like they should, like we said earlier when we were offline, make this a part of the show. ABC, you have a chance to get to not just get voters to watch, but also to get audiences to get anticipated for it. I mean, you have like essentially like less than 90 days before you're putting on a show. Maybe you have the host already out there. Maybe you do something, you know what I mean? Just something creative with it to then get people to be excited about it,
Yeah. And you can show clips and kind of like they do on Oscar night when they're introducing each one of the Best Picture nominees. You could do something like that to get people to go see these movies, right? The average person probably hasn't heard of Women Talking. You could rile them up to want to go see it. Right.
Mm-hmm. And they did this nomination announcement on Disney Plus for the first time live, which is how I watched it. Actually, I was like, okay, cool, let's do this. And it was flawless and fantastic.
You did it Disney Plus?
What's that?
You did it on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about doing it on I guess they had it on like Instagram also too, live from the Academy. But I was like, I'm not going to trust Instagram. I'm just going
to not after like those SAG nominations. No, I don't need to see like a pixelated.
It was real quick too. There wasn't a break at all, by the way. It was just like they barely had time to like break it down. They're like, nope, we're going back to round 2. And it's like, good. You shouldn't even take a break. Like some of us want to go back to sleep. So it would help Eric. It would help Eric if we did this at night. Gets a couple of cocktails in, does these articles halfway drunk. It would be great.
And the reason for doing it in the morning is such an old-fashioned thing, and it's just for the trades. That's the only reason that it's done in the morning instead of at night. Mm-hmm. But that's not what gets viewers in. If you want viewers, do a primetime show.
Bingo for sure. Well, we talked a lot about these nominations. I think that's it for this episode. Mark Johnson, it's always lovely to talk to you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. It was a good time. Glad to hear your guys' opinions and thoughts on the race as well. So thanks for having me.
Can you tell everyone where they can find you and all your work on this godforsaken planet?
Sure. You guys mentioned a couple times my Twitter is @MarkLikesMovies. I don't really tweet anything that interesting though.
That's not true.
Give me a follow.
He tweets a lot of great things.
Occasional things. And then awardsdaily.com is where you can find my Good as Gold column where I predict the Oscars and stuff.
Yeah. Mark always does really good stuff over there. You should check him out. And around September time, he's not online. He's at Telluride, and we'll see him back there this year. You better be there, damn it.
50.
I'm not missing. I will parachute in if I have to. I'm not.
Actually, I kind of want to see that now, to be honest.
Actually, that'd probably be worse for the stroke than.
Yeah, it might be kind of dangerous, but
what a way to go out.
Season finale, right? Series finale.
Yep, there it is.
Tom Cruise got nothing on me. Oh my god.
I do all my own stunts.
Eric, can you tell everyone where they can find you on the internet?
Yes, obviously AwardsWatch.com. Please come and say hi on Twitter, but don't say anything mean to me ever, and don't ever disagree with me. Thanks.
Unless you're me. I can do that all I want.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Letterboxd at McQuade77. You can find my work here at AwardsWatch, as well as like the playlist, Film Speak, In Session Film, all those different places. Next week we'll be back. We're going to be doing some Sundance talk because some evil mad genius thought it would be smart to do this Oscar stuff in the middle of goddamn Sundance. So we're going to talk about Sundance as it wraps up. Some of our favorite films, a lot of probably films that we didn't like, which is kind of what happens with Sundance, but we'll talk about that next week. But until then, we'll see you all next time.